Well, today we are on the topic, your body is a perishable seed. We have a sign out on La Jolla Boulevard that gets a lot of looks. There's a lot of traffic that drives by, and almost every time I meet a neighbor from the community, the neighbor says, "Oh, I read your sign every week." We have lots and lots of people that we never see, or see just occasionally, that read that banner every week. And I'm pretty sure that this week, some of the traffic going by is not going to want to see the sign, because it's on a topic that's difficult and a concept that's difficult. And I'm pretty sure that what happens for many people driving by is what they see is your body is perishable. And it's something they don't want to be reminded of, and in some cases they know it all too well. Either because of their own body or because of what's going on in their family, among their friends. Some people are at a stage where it seems inconceivable. They're in their teens or 20s, doesn't seem possible. Some people are at the spot where they think, yeah, it should have happened last decade. Why am I still hanging on? But for many people, the concept that their body is perishable is not one that they want to spend a lot of time thinking about. But the next word isn't very helpful for many people, because many people have a hard time figuring out what it might mean for the body to be a seed. But that's what Paul says is true. That your body, as precious as it is, awesome as it is, amazing as it is medically, all the systems within it that work so perfectly, and that from time to time break down, that body is a seed. You probably have thought from time to time in your life that your body is you, and it's not. When your body dies, you don't die. Your body is separate from you. Your body is the way that you move around this earth, and your body can provide you with pleasure or pain or a variety of ways of experiencing the world around us. But your body isn't you. We'll start in 1 Corinthians 15, 43. Paul says, what is sown is perishable. So he's talking about your body. He says at some point when you die, it's going to be like sowing a seed, and it's a seed that's perishable, but what's going to grow out of that will last forever. It's imperishable. What's going to happen is once you die, the you that continues, not your body, but the you that continues is going to be imperishable. Eternal, how God originally designed you. Paul says your body, when it dies, it's going to be sown in dishonor, but it will be raised in glory. So Jesus, when he died, he was crucified, and the nails went through his wrist. There was a sword that pierced his side, and when he was raised, you could still see the marks of the nails and the mark of where the sword pierced him. But otherwise, physically, it didn't look like Jesus. People who knew Jesus and saw the resurrected Christ had to recognize him in the breaking of bread, or in him doing miracles like he'd done before, saying, fish out of that other side and you'll catch a lot of fish even though you've got nothing so far. If you've been fishing, you know that switching from one side of the boat to the other is just not going to do anything. Although if you're fishing with someone else, it may seem like there's a magic side of the boat sometimes. But typically, if the person on the magic side of the boat moves around to the other side, they'll still keep catching fish. So the fishermen that I know anyway, salmon fishermen who've been at it for a long time, often have a huge host of superstitions about, well, you've got to wash your hands so you don't smell like a human when you bait the hook, and all kinds of things that may or may not work. It's a little bit like baseball superstitions, or maybe for your field too. But when Jesus comes along and says something that sounds superstitious, try the other side of the boat. Suddenly the nets that were empty are filled with fish, and people can recognize this new creation, the resurrected Christ. Oh, I know who that is. That's the crucified Jesus, now resurrected. So when you're given your new body, it probably won't look like you. Good news for some people, not indifferent news for others, but it won't look like you. You presumably will be able to be recognized as Jesus was recognized. It's fairly certain that God won't lose track of you. Oh no, she looks so different. Which one is she? People will be able to recognize you by the things that you do, by the mannerisms that you have, but you won't look like you. The body is sown in dishonor, it's raised in glory, so you'll look better than you. Good news. It's sown in weakness, it's raised in power. There's things you can't do today, you'll be raised in power. It's sown a physical body. I may want to backtrack on that. There are things that you can do today that you're not doing. I said there's things you can't do today. That's not exactly accurate. There's things you can do today that you're not doing, and you will be able to do them for sure later on. Although you might be able to do it today if you catch a glimpse of what God has in mind for you. It's sown a physical body, it's raised a spiritual body. So the new creation will be a different kind, Paul says. We're going to look at Job. That Job's back in the Old Testament, starting in the 19th chapter. Job is a story about someone who's, at the time of the story, his physical body was a wreck. He had really severe tragedy happen to his family and his career, and then his body fell apart. And he was in such bad shape that when his friends came to see him to console him, for a week they were just silent, because they were so stunned at how bad off he was. If you go visit someone like this, it's worth it to pray with them, to speak blessing. Job says this in the middle of the discourse. I wish my words were written down. Oh, that my words were written down. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book. So Job got his wish in this. He wants his words to be inscribed in a book. The reason that he wants that is because he knows something that he wants everybody to know. He knows something that he wants the knowledge of that to go past his lifetime. He wants other people to be able to see and to take comfort from what he knows. And what he knows is this: I know that my Redeemer lives, and at the last he will stand upon the earth. Job says, my body may be a wreck. I may be in tremendous pain. But I know that I have someone who's on my defender, who's on my side. At this point in the discourse, his friends were no longer on his side. They were gently at first and then more and more provocatively telling him he was the reason that he was in this suffering. And the book of Job the purpose of it is to tell you that not everything that happens bad to you is your fault. This is tricky because some of the things that happen bad to you are your fault. If you ingest certain foods that you're allergic to, you'll have an allergic reaction. And it's not exactly the food's fault. It may not be your fault until you know about the reaction. And then if you choose to continue to eat the foods that you're allergic to, well, there are many people who are doing that today. They know what the medical stats are. They know what society says, but they have decided that they want to do something different. So there are times when the things that happen to us are a direct result of what we've done. And there are many times when the things that happen to us are an indirect result of the things that we've done, both good and bad. As people continue to bless others and bless others and bless others and bless others, eventually they get in a spot where they receive blessing just coming back to them, sort of echoing. But Job knows that there are some things that are so good that we receive, they're completely undeserved and have nothing to do with us. We have not been doing anything to deserve it. And there are some things that are bad that happen to us that are undeserved. It's just the way it is. Job didn't deserve his disease. But he says, I know that my Redeemer lives. Even though my friends are saying this is my fault, I've got a defender that I'm going to see at the last. And after my skin has been destroyed, I'm going to see him in my flesh. Job says, it doesn't matter how bad off I am, I'm going to see my Redeemer. And he's going to be on my side. He's going to be providing for my defense. This doesn't mean that Job was sinless, although the Bible does say that he was one of the most exemplary people on earth in his day. But that's still not good enough. But it doesn't matter. The Redeemer's on your side, defending you. I'm going to see him on my side. So we're going to take one more look at a different perspective of that last day. So Job's perspective is, I know that when that last day happens, I'm going to see my Redeemer. He's going to be on my side. Now we're going to see it from the Redeemer's perspective. Jesus is telling a story about what it will be like at the end. And Jesus tells this story in Matthew 25. When the Son of Man comes, so Jesus referred to himself as the Son of Man. It was something he needed to do politically in his day to stay alive. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, with all the angels with him. We don't know how many angels that is, but we know that Jesus said that when he was about to die, he could have called about 72,000 angels to help him. But he chose, for our sake, to be crucified. So I don't know if that was a small amount of the angels or what, but we know that there's more than one, or normally one or two show up, and that's enough. There's lots of angels, however many, and so since one angel shows up and most people become terrified, I imagine that this scene when the Son of Man comes and all the angels show up, it's going to be amazing, right? If just one angel is enough to terrify a person, 72,000 or more angels, going to be pretty amazing. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all his angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory, and all the nations will be gathered before him. Will Iraq be left out? It's not a trick question. Will Iraq be left out? Will Vietnam be left out? Will North Korea be left out? Will Canada be left out? Navajo Nation? All the nations. The Raider Nation? All the nations are going to be gathered before him. All of them. Ours. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. So sheep and goats look a lot alike if you take off your glasses and you have bad vision. But otherwise, they are somewhat similar. They're about the same height. They can be the same color. They can eat the same stuff. They can intermingle because they eat sometimes the same stuff. But they're not alike. Quite different if you're raising them. And shepherds know the difference, even ones that are far or nearsighted. Can separate out the sheep from the goats, and that's going to happen to all the nations. And it's not going to be, okay, North Korea goes over here and South Korea goes over there. It's going to be within North Korea, some goes over there, some goes over there. Within South Korea, some go here, some go there. Within America, some go here, some go there. Some Americans are with the people from North and South Korea and Vietnam and all the other nations. In both camps. He will separate people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. and he will put the sheep at his right hand and the goats in his left. And then he's going to say to the one group, the sheep, he's going to say, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father." So if you're at the end of your days and you hear these words, it's good news. Come, you that are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So in a minute, we're going to see the address to the other group, and it will be important to hold on to this phrase. There is a kingdom that's prepared for you from the beginning of time. When the earth was being created, from the foundation of the world, there's another kingdom that was being prepared for you, for your blessing, you that are blessed. If God has had all that time to work on something, it's probably going to be pretty nice, fairly spectacular. It's being prepared exactly for you. It'll fit you. It'll be just right. Come inherit this kingdom. I was hungry, and you gave me food. So Jesus is going to be addressing people from China and Bangladesh and Nepal and around the world, Inuit people, all nations of the earth. I was hungry and you gave me food. People who've never been to Jerusalem. I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I don't know if you've ever been a stranger somewhere to experience what it's like to be left out and to have someone of compassion stop, take time out of their otherwise busy day, and just help you, even though maybe you don't speak the language, or you don't know the customs, or you don't fit in, or you haven't been there before. Jesus says, that's happened to me. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you gave me clothing. I was sick and you took care of me. I would rather just drop off a bottle of pills and not get so close to someone who's sick. But for some people, when they see Jesus, they're going to sit, even if they're busy, and take care of Jesus. I was sick and you took care of me. I was in prison and you visited. The prisons are full of people, all of whom say they're innocent, or a good percentage of whom say they're innocent, that they never did it, and that it's unfair that they were there. And some people don't visit the prisons because nobody in there is worth it. But Jesus says, I was there. And some of you visited me. All the sheep, not the goats. All the sheep. And all the sheep are going to answer, when did that happen? I don't remember that. I know you look different. Jesus looks different from the risen Christ, but neither one of you look familiar. When did we feed you, or give you water, or visit you in prison, or help you when you were sick? And Jesus is going to respond, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me. The whole earth is mine. When you helped out the people in Africa who didn't have clean water, that was like helping me. When you helped out the kids that were dying of malaria, that was like helping me. When whatever you did to help out people who couldn't help themselves, the people who were the least. In India, when you helped out the people in the lowest caste that nobody else will pay attention to, that was like helping me, Jesus says. Just as you did it to any one of these least, you did it to me. So that's one group. Come, you blessed of the Father, inherit what's been prepared for you from the beginning of time. And then there's another group. Jesus is going to turn to the other group and say something you really don't want to hear at the end of your days. You that are accursed, depart from me into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So I asked you a minute ago to remember something. What we were remembering was that the good place is prepared for you. And here, the bad place is not prepared for wicked people. It's prepared for the devil and his angels. It's prepared for people, not for people, but some people are going to go there. They weren't destined to go there. They weren't designed to go there, but they're winding up there. Depart from me into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels, because I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not welcome me. I was naked and you did not give me clothing. I was sick and in prison and you did not visit me. And the people who are in this group who are about to spend an eternity in a very uncomfortable and unpleasant space, not at all designed for them. What was designed for them was the place of blessedness that God worked on for more than 4 millennia, 6 millennia. But they're going because when they saw Jesus, they didn't recognize him. Their response is, Lord, when was that? We never saw you. But Jesus' response is going to be the same as to the first group. Just as he did not do it to one of these least, my guess, the least probably don't deserve it from some of your standards. Some of your standards would say, well, they're not working hard enough, they're not trying enough, they're not. Just as you did not do it to one of the least of these, Jesus says you didn't do it to me. Your body is what you have these days. If you treat it well, it's to your advantage. But whether you do or don't, it's got a time stamp on it. It will not last 200 years. It will not last 150. I'm not willing to guess beyond that. But somewhere short of 150 years, your body is going to expire and be planted like a seed. And you will continue on. Out on La Jolla Boulevard, we've got a sign that reminds people that their body is a perishable seed. But it doesn't get into the depth of what Jesus talks about, that while probably all the seeds will sprout. That's not true in our garden out here. In our garden out here, 10% of the seeds sprout or something. But in God's garden, they're all going to sprout. But some are going to be transplanted to a place that was not designed for them, where they were not meant to go. We're going to take a moment for prayer. God, thank you for your amazing mercy, that you speak with clarity into our lives. So at the end of our days, we can't say, oh, I didn't know that. We did know it. We do know it. Jesus, as we see you throughout the world, sometimes in disguise, help us to be filled with the compassion that you show us, to be filled with the love that you show us, to be filled with the mercy that you show us, and to overflow with that mercy and compassion and love, so that when we come to the end of our days, we, along with the rest of the sheep, are so surprised that we have already seen you, already helped you, fed you, clothed you, given you water, visited you in prison, helped you when you were a stranger. Thank you for your amazing mercy for us, Jesus. Help us to have mercy for you. Thank you. Amen.